Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast.
Can't even recognize this place. Too many pieces of our past mistakes.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and I believe real change starts from the inside out. So let's work together to improve our money and our lives from the inside out. We will explore all things money and our relationship with it. Join me each week with a rotating set of co-hosts, friends, and interviews. Let's jump in.
It's time, we going round and round and round and round.
I'm kind of nervous though. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Because I have something to confess to you also.
What is it?
Yo, Liz and Maggie in the house. We got something to say to all you spenders out there. It's time to get real. Let's talk about debt, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the bad loans and the interest that ain't free. Let's talk about debt. Some people say it's private. Don't discuss your bills, but financial health, gives me the thrills. We got to face the facts. No more denying those credit card statements. They keep piling. From student loans to mortgages so high, the burden of debt, it can make you sigh. But knowledge is power, so let's get it straight. Time to make a budget before it's too late. Let's talk about debt, baby.
I can see why you were nervous.
This is the episode, by the way.
Okay.
So when you were saying, what's the topic? I was like, earlier today thinking about I was like, oh yeah, we're recording tonight. Because I'm telling you, in retired life, I forget what's happening.
Yeah.
I just sort of think my calendar's empty every day, and it's not.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, we're recording. And then I was like, oh, yeah, we're talking about debt. And then right away, I was like, let's talk about debt, baby. I don't know why that just came into my head, So then I went to AI, because all I had so far was let's talk about debt, baby.
Uh-huh. And then she filled
And then
in
I
the
was like, I said, Gemini, write me some lyrics to Let's Talk About Sex. And they even did the intro.
And they told you
to yo. Actually, they said yo, Det and Peppa in the house. And then I was like, no, Liz and Maggie are in the house.
Det and Peppa Island.
Yeah,
okay. That's amazing.
Not Det and Peppa. Plus, I would do Det and something, not so I'd replace salt and pepper.
Right. Debt and payments in the house.
Yeah, debt and payments in the house. Yeah, exactly.
That is.
Anyways.
I like it when we sing on the episodes. That's nobody ever says that in the reviews that that's their favorite part, but it's only
I think it's an unspoken part of the reviews is that people like it.
I think that you're right.
I think we've had a goal that you should sing during all episodes. I will rap during some episodes. And that was our way of letting you know that today we're going to talk about debt on the podcast. Baby, let's talk about debt. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the bad loans and the interest that ain't free. Okay.
Oh, man.
I grew up listening. There's something going around Instagram that's what song makes you think of your teenage years? Something like that.
Yeah.
Salt and Peppa's right there. Push It.
That's amazing. Push It's a good one. I feel like I saw that and all of my first reactions were more Britney Spears and Blink-182. Blink-182 was a big part of my childhood.
Yeah. Craven Melon. Was that the name? No. Blind Melon?
Blind Melon?
Blind Melon. Yeah. Blind Melon. I'm thinking there's a different band called Craven Melon. I didn't make that up. It's a smaller band.
I like the 90s Warblers.
Craven Melon is an old band, by the way. Good band. Much smaller than Blind Melon.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. Anyways, we're here to talk about debt. This is, baby, a financial podcast.
Oh, right. I forgot.
It's called Inside Out Money, in case you are very unsure about what's happening and where you're at.
I kind of forgot we were recording. I thought we were just chatting.
And we're using a new recording software, guys, so fingers crossed.
I like it.
This is a, personal finance podcast focused on redefining wealth from the inside out. We're also focused on singing when we can. Mm-hmm. And every week I speak with a rotating set of co-hosts about a different financial topic focused on helping you improve your financial mindset and tactics. Only one of the co-hosts will sing with me. Actually, that's not true. Erica will sing with me too.
Okay.
Andrew definitely won't sing with me. Greg will not sing with me.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that tracks.
They are good at other things.
They are good
Everyone break. That's the beauty of Inside Out Money. You don't like what you hear this week? Just come back next week. You'll have a different vibe.
That's a good point.
Wait, actually, a friend of mine was telling me But she was listening to Inside Out Money and listening to a ton of episodes in a row, was catching up on the back catalog, as it were. And she said it was really interesting because she noticed that your vibe changes depending on who
With different people?
you're recording with. Like when you record with Andrew and he's like, I can't believe someone would spend money on this. You're like, yeah, why would anybody spend money on this? And then when you're with me and I'm like, I don't know, people should kind of do what they want. You're like, yeah, you're right. People should kind of do what they want.
Yeah. I was going to say, I like to think I match people's energy.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right.
Which is like, because everybody brings a different type of energy and I can adjust mine. I'm like a chameleon, you know?
I think you are. That's part of your charm, Maggie.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
Okay.
I am excited to talk about debt today because it's actually a topic that we do not talk about a lot on this podcast. And honestly, it's probably because most of us on the podcast have been in debt at various times in our life, but are now out of debt and living debt free for the most part. So as a result, it's just honestly not like top of mind. And, you know, we talk a lot more about like saving and frugality and investing and that lens of things. But the reality is the majority of people, unfortunately, are actually in debt at varying levels. There's all sorts of stats about the, you know, volume and average amount of debt people have and all of that. But it's like almost become an expected part of our current modern life and society. And there are times when it is just unavoidable, but there's a lot of debt that I would argue is avoidable. And I keep wanting to say baby after everything. It's avoidable, baby.
It's avoidable, baby.
Let's talk about debt, baby. It's avoidable, maybe. We might freestyle this, you know? We'll have a new version.
Who needs Gemini when you've got Magify?
I could have done it myself, honestly. I just was being lazy and had Gemini. I like to sometimes, I'm like, what are you going to do? So yeah, I think in general, like what I don't love about debt is that it's become so normalized and such a like expected part of life. So I think we're going to do a series of episodes on debt. The first discussion we want to really focus on is a bit unpack the normalization of debt and really just talk more around how we think about debt and how we think you all should think about debt from a financial health standpoint.
And maybe what we learned from our own mistakes.
Yeah.
So that at this point, to your point earlier, Maggie, I think maybe some of those debt mistakes are far in the rear view mirror for most of the co-hosts here, but that's because we're a bit more advanced in years. But in my younger years, I was not nearly the wise, self-actualized person you see before you today.
Yes. And I think, you know, the way many of us on this podcast, and particularly like in the FIRE community too, are living is different than the average person in society, right? And we've taken a bit of a, you know, going against the grain, perhaps. And that's not entirely true. I was going to say that's subjective and, you know, open to interpretation. But I would say, you know, challenging the narrative of debt is the same thing, right? You can live the way everybody else is living and you can constantly, you know, be kind of going paycheck to paycheck. You can constantly be choosing to take things into your life prior to being able to afford them and, you know, making decisions around that. Or you can choose to live differently and to think about debt differently.
Yeah. Or, I mean, and the option 3, you might consider debt and get real self-reflective about it and self-aware about it and then decide that you still want to be in debt and that's what you want to do. It's not a choice I would make for myself, but...
And I think that's actually a good point, though. You do it when you get in debt, it should be done very thoughtfully and intentionally. And to your point about like, we're a little more seasoned now, that means we're all in our 40s. I can appreciate and recognize and point to times in my life when I took on debt quite flippantly and not very thoughtfully and just was like, well, I'm out of college. I'm going to get a car loan for the full amount anyone will give me a car loan for. And I'm going to buy a house with the full amount of money anybody will agree to loan to me. And I didn't even like cross my mind at the time. I mean, luckily I ended up making enough money in life and kind of changing my ways a bit as I got older that I was able to pay all of that off. But some of those were like riskier decisions, had some things not panned out, and things don't pan out for everybody, right? Which is
Yeah.
why people should be, very thoughtful about taking on any debt.
I agree.
Yeah,
Well, should we jump in?
we should. Yeah. So
Further?
further, we're in because we
We're
were in
in.
when I started singing or rapping. I don't even know if one wants to call that rapping.
Yeah. When you got to the song, we were
When I
in.
got to the spoken word part of the podcast, we were in. Yes.
It does feel, I mean, I think that you, when we were talking about doing this episode, the high level theme that you had talked about was to not normalize debt, and that it does feel like everyone's doing it, like it's totally normal. I will say a lot of people are doing it. It is really
Yeah.
common to maybe put things on a credit card that you can afford right now, or to have really high car payments, or to buy a house that's a stretch for your budget. And so it is normal, but I think your point was we want to like unnormalize it and say that's not necessarily something that you need to do.
Yeah, I think to me that's the issue, is it is normal and it has been normalized and everybody else is doing it, and that's the trap we want people to try to avoid. And again, we'll focus future episodes on getting out of that trap if you're already in it. But I think, I know I'm starting to get older, or am already older when I start to say things like this, but I think about like
Kids these days.
kids these days. I think about like the way my parents grew up, right? And like it was not normalized to take on as much debt for this stuff. And so I think in this modern society we live in, there's like so much societal pressure and advertising, and there's so many plans. There's so many, it used to be called layaway. Now it's like buy now, pay later. Now, like, I mean, there's like $5 purchases you can make where you can put it into like 4 installments with the click of a button, and it's just financing, and the ability to break things up into multiple payments is everywhere, like on every single website, on every single place you go to purchase something, like physically in a store and online, and in emails. I mean, I get emails like, we own Teslas. Like I get like so many Teslas. Like I already have a Tesla that's just a couple years old. I get so many Teslas. I get so many emails from Tesla that are like telling me about their great financing, right? And my car's 2 years old. Like leave me alone,
Well, I don't have it right in front of me, but I remember seeing that the average car payment has climbed dramatically. Are you gonna look at it? You're gonna help. I knew if I just said
it's like it used to be. Okay, here.
Do you want to guess? You already pulled it up.
Oh, well, I saw a stat about it a while ago. Yeah, so it used to be.
I think of in my head, I think of a reasonable car payment as like $300. I mean, I know obviously it depends on how much money you make and blah, 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 blah.
That was like what I feel like my first car payment out of school, I could look it up somewhere, but it was somewhere in like $291, I want to say.
I think
like
in
the 200s.
Yeah. My first car was, I think, around $15,000. And I want to say the car payment was like $3 something. And I think of like 5 or 6 as, ooh, that's a fancy car. And I think it's up to over 700 on average.
Yeah, according to NerdWallet, which I consider a very reputable source.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
No, I'm being totally serious.
Okay, I am too. I think
I love NerdWallet.
Okay.
Average monthly car loan payment in the U.S. is $745 for a new car. That's a lot. And $521 for a used one.
Wow.
And that's a 2025 stat. And again, we could quote, some old ones, but I'm going to go with when I was in my 20s, that was like 200, 300, like you said. And so it's, it's big. That's a lot.
Yeah. We bought a new car. Well, it was not a new car. We bought a used car, but it was new to us. I think it was 2 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago. I don't remember. And we ended up paying it off within a year, but I took out the car loan initially and the payment was $900.
Yeah.
And I don't even think our car was like $50-something thousand, which seems, I mean, that's the most I've ever paid for a car.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
By far. I think the cars I had owned in the past were all less than $20,000.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a reasonable amount of money for a very nice car. And then I saw the payment of $900 and I was like, that is bananas.
Yeah, it is bananas. And the other thing companies are doing is they'll drag out the term. So they'll like, it sounds like you have a lower payment, but like you get like a 6-year car note, which used to be that they were like, 2 or 3 years.
I think there might be 7-year car loans now.
There probably are. And so there's this, I think that's the problem is they're creating this illusion that something is affordable when it is, I wouldn't even argue those monthly payments are affordable, but either way, they're taking something like even a $20,000 car and making it someone who does not have $20,000 or even $10,000 and breaking it down into an amount of money where you feel comfortable committing to it. And again, I'm not knocking, I'm not saying you should never get a car loan. I'm not saying you should never, 99.9% of people need to get a mortgage to afford to buy a house. But I think, again, we want to challenge the idea that debt should be a normal part of doing things and that there are better ways to do things and that you should go into the decision to take on debt very, very thoughtfully.
Yeah, and I think what we were getting at too is that if you're talking about the cost of the monthly payment, like you've kind of already lost the plot a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I actually remember my dad bought a brand new truck when I was in middle school. And for some reason, this left like a huge impression on me. I have a lot of memories of that day. And the guy was trying to sell him on something. I don't know if it was like a warranty or some extra feature on the car or something. And my dad said, well, how much is it? And he goes, oh, it'll only add $19 a month to your payment. And my dad said, but how much is it? Exactly.
Good on your dad, right?
Exactly. And I remember that left an impression on me is that they will try to get you with like, oh, it's only a couple bucks more a month. It's only this a month. But well, how much is it?
That's great. That was like, I feel like that was the seed that planted Liz Gets Loaded.
Exactly.
How much, your dad just saying, but how much is it?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
I'm no sucker.
I know. I've told this story. I know I've told this story on my own podcast, Liz Gets Loaded. I don't know if I've told it here, but the thing I have an extremely vivid memory. I remember what the sales guy looked like. My dad was like, oh, I saw you have this really good financing deal, like really low interest. So I want to finance the whole thing. I don't want to put a down payment. And the guy was like, oh, I don't know. And then he left the room and to go run my dad's credit. And then he walked back in with this huge grin on his face, like tapped the paper and said, oh, somebody's a golden boy. And I was like,
oh, like he has good credit?
Exactly, because he had such good credit. And I was like, what's that? I want to be a golden boy. Like,
I want to be a good boy.
That's so important to me. So anyways, thanks to that car salesman guy. I feel like you taught me a lot of lessons in that one afternoon.
Nice.
Anyways.
I'd put the credit on your dad more for teaching you the lessons.
Yes.
The golden boy, but
I have told my dad thanks.
But you always need an adversary to help teach that lesson.
So maybe that's like lesson number one. If someone's talking to you about monthly payments, your guard should be up.
I think, the other reason that debt has been so normalized is like there's such easy access to credit. I think maybe there's some laws against this now, but when I was in college, they would market on college campuses. I remember putting down, we would all put down fake information to get a free t-shirt or get something. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, that was the smartest thing to do, to put down fake. You put down your real information, you got a credit card now.
Right.
But we got, even without them marketing on college campuses now, there's easy access to credit. Mm-hmm. There's this general instant gratification culture that we live in, which I think is heavily fueled by social media and Amazon and just a lot of technology and advancements that back to the in my day and age, I didn't grow up with. I had to wait for things. And, mixed with a lack of financial literacy, I don't think in that story where, your dad was asking, but how much is it? Not everyone's got that around them, right? Not everyone has those influence and those voices. And then we're also all comparing ourselves socially to everybody else. Everybody else has nice stuff and new stuff, and you have no idea whether they can actually afford that stuff.
Yeah. I think all of those things are true. And I would just add to this list, also economic conditions have changed. And so things are more expensive than they used to be. Wages haven't kept pace with the cost of housing and other essential costs. And so I think debt becomes literally normalized because it's everyone's in debt. Everyone has student loan debt. Everyone has credit card debt. Mm-hmm. And it just becomes, it's necessary in a lot of situations. And so once you feel like you have to go into debt for some necessities, it might also feel like a slippery slope to go into debt for non-necessities.
Yeah. Well, so on that note, let's talk about this concept of good versus bad debt.
Yeah. Do you think there is any good debt?
Well, I think there's gooder.
I do. I think.
And badder debt.
Okay.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think if I was going to write, you think there's good and bad debt?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, I definitely do. My point was more, it's like on a spectrum.
Yeah. I was just laughing about you saying gooder. That's all.
I know.
It just made me laugh.
Badder and gooder.
Gooder
But I
and
was actually trying to think how to like pull that into the rap, like
Oh.
let's talk about debt, baby. Let's talk about good and bad. Let's talk about all the bad debt and the good debt that I don't know. I'm still working on that piece.
I like it.
Yeah, so let's start with like the worst. We're going to sort of shift on that spectrum from what I think we might consider the sort of worst to best, if there was one, right? But we're not going to cover every single possible thing because you can like literally get a loan for anything.
What about a loan for lip gloss?
I mean, it's not a loan per se, or maybe it is, but I think the Walgreens website, or definitely a website that sells lip gloss, has one of those third parties.
I'm
What's
sure,
the name of
I'm
one of
sure.
them that does
Klarna? Is
the
Klarna?
like, yeah. Which it sounds like karma, which I think is kind of funny. I know you're joking, but you probably could break up that lip gloss into a few payments.
I was joking about like maybe that's the worst debt there is.
But that is because consumer debt, right? Which is like credit cards, personal loans, which you could take out to buy anything, including, I'm sure, lip gloss. I'm sure there's people that are paying, which is kind of funny when you think about paying interest on lip gloss. Like that's where I think we'd say, it is bad debt. And those sorts of loans come with typically incredibly high interest rates. It makes it very difficult to touch the principal. You're often, when you rack up a decent amount of debt, you're often barely paying like a minimum payment and an interest payment.
Right.
And the way interest accrues, it's basically the opposite of compound growth, right? It's compound interest. And, a lot of people say like, oh, that's how you build credit. That is not really a myth. Having consumer debt is not how you build credit. You can build credit having a credit card and paying it off every single month. That's what they're looking at. They're not looking at how much of a loan you're carrying. I mean, the goal is not to like rack up a bunch of debt and pay a minimum payment. That's not how you build credit.
Right.
And that just can super quickly spiral out of control. So just to be super clear, I mean, when we say like, is there truly good and bad debt? Like, I recommend avoiding what I'd call, consumer debt under like credit cards or personal loans at all costs, if you can, right?
Yeah.
I know there's times when there's like, it should be a true emergency.
Right.
But if you have it, aggressively pay it off, get rid of the cards, figure out how to budget to try to avoid it in the future, to build an emergency fund so you don't have these situations where you have to, take on really high interest debt. Because it can be like crippling to get out of high interest consumer debt.
Yeah, it can be really hard. And you mentioned earlier that credit card companies can't market on college campuses anymore, which I am pretty sure is true. I don't know when that changed, but sometime between when you and I went to college and now. And I think also there are new rules about credit card statements, because I remember opening up a credit card in college and not understanding how the interest was compounding. But I don't look at my statements often these days. I just auto pay. But when you do open it, it shows you like, okay, if you only made the minimum payment, here's how long it would take you to pay off this balance, and here's the total that you would pay. So
yeah,
there's almost like this new nutrition facts labeling on debt, which I hope is helpful. And for the folks who don't know, I mean, the emergency situation, that's a totally different thing. We're not trying to like shame anyone or say that like if you need to use a credit card to feed your family or to repair your car so you can get to work so you can feed your family or whatever. Like, obviously things happen and emergencies happen.
And you can get into a situation where, life circumstances create a situation where you need to do that in the short term, right? Or even in the long term sometimes. But if you're doing it, it should be really for the necessities, not for, a new thing of lip gloss.
I put like cute sheets and stuff for my dorm room on a credit card when I was in college. I think I racked up a couple $100. And then again, my dad, who's
came in,
the smartest guy in the world, called me and said, "What are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah.
You're a dummy." So there's a scale on what you spend, what you use your credit card for. And on one end, there are cute sheets for your dorm room. And on the other end, there's like feeding your family.
Yes, exactly.
Don't be like me. That's what we're saying.
I did learn, by the way, that it was the Credit Card Accountability, Responsibility, and Disclosure Act, which, by the way,
Spells
card, which is
card.
kind of fun. Good
I
for
love
them.
I love,
Good job.
I have
Someone
a
in
lot of
government, was like, I like that they came up with that.
I have a lot of criticisms of Congress, but I like it when they give cute names to things.
I was like an intern that probably came up with that, though.
Props, yeah.
Someone in marketing did. And and that was the act of 2009. And so that did restrict some on-campus marketing practices, like providing gifts and taking applications directly on campus. So they can still partner with colleges and have like, have different marketing tactics, but they do have more limitations. And again, that was like, 7 years after I graduated from college. So I was in the generation being actively marketed to on college campuses. And yeah, it's a different time. Okay. Then we've got, moving up our scale to the gooder end, is auto loans, right? How do you feel about auto loans? I've had them.
I think I'm more of an auto loan apologist. They don't bother me.
Here's what bothers me about auto loans.
Yeah.
And again, like, just to be very transparent, I have had auto loans. I have purchased more car than I needed. I have made decisions that, weren't technically the best, financial health decision I could make, but felt really good in the moment. And it's fine. We're all going to do it. I mean, I don't want to say we're all going to do it. Many people are going to do it and have done it, and we'll do it, and we'll do it again. My kids will probably do it at some point. But I think what I really want to encourage people is to just, same with like houses, which we'll get into, like, and same with student loans, all of this stuff, like, don't get into something that's over your head and that is more than you need, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, there's so many different models of like, what percentage of your income it is, but you should be thinking about what you truly need, what you can afford. If you can pay up front for a car and you've saved up for it, get whatever you want, right? But if you're having to finance a car, like, ultimately that car is a depreciating asset that you're taking a loan out on, or most people are. Actually, 50 to 70% of cars are purchased on credit. I did look that up.
Nice.
When you're buying a new car, you're often like, quote, upside down the second you drive off the lot. I've purchased multiple new cars, so I'm not like,
I have never purchased a new car.
Really? That's impressive. I have purchased, I'm not going to say, but multiple new cars.
Well, I can think of at least 3.
I want to say I've purchased 4 new cars, but in fairness, multiple of the purchases were because I was like giving Greg my old car. So like 2 of the purchases were related to, I only did it because like someone else had a really old car. And so it was like, we need, it was just that doesn't.
But yeah, and you couldn't have possibly given them your existing car and then also purchased a used car. That's not how it works at all. That would be impossible.
Yeah, no, that wasn't. That didn't cross my mind at the moment. Anyways, Liz, we're not talking about me. We're talking about other people, okay?
I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy a new car.
I know, I'm just messing around.
But
But what's funny is my thing is, I'm kind of saying, yeah, you shouldn't buy a new car, but I'm not saying you shouldn't buy it. I'm saying you shouldn't finance a new car when you are overstretching yourself, right? And only you know what your financial situation is. Like, the most ideal thing is to save up in advance and buy a car with cash. Majority of people can't do that, if I just am going to go off averages.
Yeah.
But at least save up for a significant down payment, make a responsible decision that is aligned with what your lifestyle looks like today, not what you aspire for it to be in the future. Right? That new car is not going to, like, a car that's nicer than what you can afford is not going to, like, get you the next job.
Isn't going to change your life.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have I think we've talked about this before, but I can't remember. Do you have a guideline you like about how much money people should spend on cars as a percentage of their net worth or salary? Or...
I don't, because I think there's too many factors in that, right? If I were to do that, I've saved up what I need for the rest of my life. The percentage, it wouldn't be right. I would overbuy what I should, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like, my income is also 0.
And also when I did have a job, my income was high enough that
Yeah.
it would have told me to buy a car way nicer than anything. I mean, I just didn't need anything that fancy. And so I don't love some of those rules because I think everybody is different and their situation is unique and there's a bunch of factors. And I know people
Yeah.
like formulas. So some of that is good, like general guidance. Do you have one you like?
No, I mean, I think they tend to break down too at the high end or low end. Like, I mean, a lot of formulas do the 3 times your income for housing, the like blah, 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 blah. A lot of them work for sort of middle of the road. But I was just thinking about, because we were talking about it, I was thinking about how my first car cost about $15,000 and it was literally 50% of my annual income. And that was probably like not the right choice.
Mine was about 20,000 and that was close to 50% of my annual income.
Yeah.
It was a little low. It might have been 40 something, 45
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
But that's a good example of like I shouldn't have been buying that much car
Yeah.
right out of school. I could have lost my job 6 months later. And
Right,
really
right.
been in a bind. And I didn't need a brand new car, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I
You
think
got a brand new car for $20,000. Mine was used, at least. It was 2 years old.
I bought a Honda Accord and I could go back up and look up the paperwork, but I want to say it might have been low 20s, like 22 or something.
I was just curious. My first car, it was a 2-year-old Honda Civic hybrid. My first car I bought as an adult, and it had 70,000 miles on it when I bought it, and it was $15,000. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. and it took me 5 years to pay it off, and I was so happy. I want to say my car payment was like $330, and I was so happy when I paid off that car. I was like, I am rich. I have an extra $300 a month. Can you believe?
I'm totally listening to you, but I just found the receipt to my Honda
I
Accord.
can't believe you still have that. That's
I looked it up on Google Drive. It's amazing. I bought it July 2002,
okay.
like literally 1 month out of college. I was 2 months out of college. I hadn't even started my job yet. I hadn't even started getting paid yet. My job started in August.
Wow.
The total price was $19,499.99. I must have really negotiated on to get under
Wow.
$20,000. I put down $2,000 in cash and I took out a loan for $17,499.
Okay.
And my interest rate was 4.75%. There's like a finance charge to take on the loan. I was trying to see what my loan was. Oh, my loan it was close to, it was not exactly what I remembered. And my monthly payments were $323.33.
Whoa. Twins. We both bought Hondas and they were both like,
Yeah.
yours was an Accord. Oh, you were fancy.
It had a spoiler on the back.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was like, I want the nicest one you can give me.
What color was it?
Silver.
Did she have a name?
She did. I can't remember.
You can't remember it? My Civic was gold and we called her Goldie Honda.
That's really cute, like Goldie Honda.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Goldie was a great car. I had her for a long time. We did a lot of stuff together. Anyways.
Okay. I like this going down like reminiscing down debt's memory lane.
I do too. The reality is most people need a car to get to work.
Yes.
And most people cannot afford to purchase a car in cash. And especially the cost of used cars have risen
It's ridiculous.
dramatically. And so that's why responsible car loans don't really bother me. And I know that's kind of a cop out, like what's a responsible car loan, but one that you'd be able to cover for months with your emergency fund if you lost your job, a car loan that's not more car than you need.
I like the term responsible car loans because let's segue that to shifting closer to the like gooder end of debt.
Gooder.
So let's talk about student loans because I have strong feelings about student loans.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
No, that's true. I didn't mean
like, I know. You've already
you
told
were like,
me.
sigh.
Well, I was just laughing because even when you said, I'm not want to say how many new cars I bought, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know because I also just listen to this podcast and I listen to your old podcast and I'm your friend. And I'm like, well, you bought that
I really
Honda
couldn't
right
remember.
out of school.
I bought a Honda,
your
2
Tesla?
Priuses, and a Tesla. Those are the 4. And I bought a Subaru, but that was used. The Subaru was used.
It was?
Yeah. I had to drive to West Virginia during COVID to buy that thing.
Oh. Because I remember you talking
Mike
about...
convinced me to buy a used one. That was my one.
You
he tried to
almost
convince
bought
me
one.
not to buy the car at all, which actually would have been a good decision probably because that car was like a moment where I thought we needed a third row in our life. And
I remember that for some
moment didn't
reason.
last very
I remember
long.
you saying that episode was really popular, and I'm like, for some reason, it really stuck in my head. I remember right where I was. I was walking to my neighborhood listening to it,
Yeah.
and I was like, Maggie's making a lot of sense. Actually, I think she does need that third row.
I know. I needed more voices like you in my head. It was my old co-host was like really trying hard to convince me not to buy this
But you
car.
just said that would have been the right choice.
Well, he did convince me to buy a used. But that's if I could predict my family's need. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a bad. I actually resold it for like, I want to say close to the price I paid for it. So
There you
it
go.
wasn't a bad investment. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Student loans. You always get us
Student
on
loans.
track, Liz.
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. You're right.
I just came here to talk about debt, baby.
Baby. Bum,
Let's
bum,
talk
bum,
about debt,
bum,
baby.
bum.
Let's talk about student loans now. Student loans, which most people would say are good debt, it is an investment in your future. But like your reference about responsible car loans, I think student loan debts there's good and bad student loan debts, right? And I'm going to use the price of avocado toast
Yeah.
as
I
an
knew you would.
example. They will admit this themselves. Are you okay?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just rubbing my eye, but I'm fine.
I
I'm
just
not
didn't know if
crying.
this was like
I'm
making
not,
you
like,
emotional. by singing.
Yes, it's your singing. It's making me.
Liz is getting emotional talking about debt.
I just really love not paying interest so much. Okay.
So Haley and Justin from The Price of Avocado Toast, which, have you met them in real life?
No.
Oh, they're lovely.
Well, I did go on their podcast, so I guess I met them
Feels
on
like real
Zoom.
life,
Yeah, yeah.
So they, at one point in their life, I think they actually went to grad school for this. This was not their undergraduate. This was grad school, I think.
I don't remember.
Went to a private school, a private college in like wine country, somewhere in California, knowing that they were doing it to become teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Private school took on like lots of debt and did it for what is, notoriously not a good thing. And I'm not a proponent of this, but like a very underpaid profession and like not a high paid profession, which is being a teacher. And that's not a great investment.
Well, I think just to underline what you said and to a slightly finer point on it, it's not the kind of job often where the caliber of your school will get you paid more money.
Yeah, or get you at that job.
Or get you in the door,
one job over
right?
another. Yeah.
Yeah.
They went to work in the public school system and could have gotten the exact same jobs
Right.
from a public school
Yeah.
that they got a like scholarship at or that they got, just paid, 1/20th of the price at.
Right. There are some jobs.
Yes.
Like, did you ever watch the TV show Suits? Mm-hmm. And they only hire.
I also watch Suits LA. I'm like
Oh gosh, I watched Suits LA. It
not
was
as
so
good.
bad. It takes a lot for me to say something goes like bad, but that show was bad.
Yeah.
I was so confused the whole time I was watching it. Okay, but on Suits, their law firm that I'm forgetting the name of right now. What was it called?
Pearson Spector and
Yes. Pearson Spector Lit. Which is
Yes.
how the guy said it. Anyways, Pearson Spector Lit would only hire lawyers that went to Harvard. So if you want to work at a fictional law firm in New York City, then maybe it's worth it to pay the price tag for Harvard Law School. But otherwise...
Yeah, and I got my MBA from Emory University, which was very expensive. It was about $100,000, and I did not get any. Half the people I was there with, their companies were paying full price for their like the full amount of their MBA, and they I think only had to like stay for 2 years after it. It was like a really good deal. But I did not have that, and my company didn't do that. But I would say pressured. I was encouraged to go there versus somewhere less expensive because the company I was working at and the boss I worked for, he had gone to Wharton Business School, and he had a view of like, if you're going to go to business school, you need to go to the best business school you can go to. And I wasn't in a position to move from Atlanta, and Emory had the best program in Atlanta and a more, highly regarded program than at the time other schools in Atlanta. And so, but then I went to work for a company where like nobody cared that I had an MBA. Right? Like none of my peer group had it. It just wasn't like respected in a way that mattered. But there was a place like where I was working in business, like a lot of people had their MBAs from top tier schools. And it was it gave you a little more respect and street cred, right? And so there certainly are jobs where, particularly in the field of law, doctors, like medical school, something it makes a difference what medical school you went to, depending on what sort of residencies and things you're trying to do. I think my point is, it needs to be responsible and thoughtful. And so you need to think about the ROI before you are committing to something. So this is something I tell my kids all the time is, if they stay in state in Georgia, and there's good schools, right? In state in Georgia, there's one of the best engineering schools, Georgia Tech, and they're going to get like everything paid for, right? And they're going to get like, they won't have to pay tuition. It would be in-state tuition anyways, but there's some various like scholarship programs in Georgia where if your grades are even kind of decent, it's like fully paid for. But if they go do the exact same program, just one state away, right? It's not any better of a school.
Right.
They will have a massive amount of, it will cost so much more. And I've said like, look, I'm not willing to take on that cost or debt on your behalf.
Right.
If there's not a good reason. And so again, I use it as an example of like, if you want to become a marine biologist or you want to do something in aeronautics, there's a few schools that have really good reputations in that space and you need to go to like a specialty program. If you want to work in business, if you want to be a teacher, if you want to, I don't know, if you want to be a
marketing,
nurse, if you want to work in marketing, if you want to be a nurse, like there's a lot of great schools and a very good education you can get.
Yeah.
That you don't have to break the bank for, right? And that's where, to me, you want to think about the ROI, which is the return on investment of, what you're going to, you just want to go into these decisions thoughtfully. And I think, you don't always have an adult guiding you on that. And I think as a parent, it's one of the things we talk very openly with our kids about so that they're not surprised by it and that they understand, like, look, if you choose to go to like, I always use the example of like, if you choose to go to Auburn over UGA, arguably UGA is a better school and it's free if you get in and you go there, right?
Yeah.
And like, why would you pay 10 times more to go to a school that's less good just because it's an hour further away?
Do you want the answer to that question, Maggie?
I don't know no one's been able to give me a good answer for it.
Oh, because I was making a joke, like they want to be an hour further away.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Well, that's a good answer. Well, if they'd like to be an hour further away from me, there are schools that are
1 hour away in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to pay. Georgia's an hour away. Yeah, they're going to pay for it. So how much are they willing to pay?
Sounds like you're saying that you are good with responsible student loans.
I am. And I also think there's a lot of things you can look into with scholarships and grants. There's a lot of creative programs now where
you did a whole
there's certain
episode.
Schools. Yeah, and we didn't even get as deep into it there. But yeah, we did do an episode that we'll put a link into where we interviewed someone who actually works in recruiting at colleges and like had really good advice and counsel.
Yeah.
But there's so many options in schools that have different programs, out-of-state schools that have programs where they'll match in-state tuition. Right? Not every school does it, but like certain schools do it. And more schools are coming out with programs like that.
That was really cool. I had never heard of a lot of those things that you got from that episode.
Yeah.
Responsible student debt. We are a yay.
Yes.
Just like all things. It's literally everything. Is just do your homework. Think about what you really need.
Yes.
Think about the ROI. Yeah. I think it's hard when you're 18 if you're going straight to college from high school.
It's super hard, which is why I put a lot of the onus on like it's a parent's responsibility ideally to counsel and talk to your kids about this, right? If you I knew I had some skin in the game. I made a decision between going to Auburn and going to UGA. And I knew that if I went to Auburn, I was going to have a bunch of student loans. And I knew that if I went to Georgia, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you made a call that like paid off because it's not just that you have student loans. Every year that you're paying off student loans is a year that you're putting less money into your retirement accounts. And so it's literally more years of your life you have to work. We don't love that.
Agreed.
We want you to be work optional as soon as possible. 18-year-old who's listening to this podcast of 40-year-old ladies talking about debt. I think that's our target demographic.
I do think it's our target demographic.
I think we're very popular among the 17 and 18-year-old set.
Mid-40 women.
talking about debt.
Shout out to all the mid-30 guys too, though. I don't want you to
Yeah.
feel left out. Or mid-40 guys. Or
Everyone is.
Shout out to everybody. We like all ages.
Everyone is welcome here.
Okay, mortgage debt. We're getting into the
Mortgages.
gooder end of things, right?
Yeah.
I think it's often considered the best debt.
Yes.
The most respectable debt to
The
have.
most respectable, gentlemanly, ladylike, non-binary, polished, elegant debt. I've had I don't regret any of the mortgages I've ever taken out. And I do regret some credit card loans, and I do regret some, did I say car loans? I regret some car loans, and I regret some credit card debt I've gotten myself into. I don't regret any I didn't have a lot of student loans, but I don't regret any of my mortgages.
I would agree. I think if anything, I more would have thoughts on like when I did or didn't refinance and, trying to time that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have any. I've only owned 2 houses in my life. Well, outside of rentals, which we'll talk about business debt in a minute. But
yeah, I have purchased 3 homes in my life. And I will say all of them were purchased kind of on a whim. Not like, I would say not unthoughtfully, like not necessarily, I'm saying I didn't put any thought into it, but they were pretty quick. Like I would say within a couple weeks I went from, I'm not going to buy a house to, ooh, that one's pretty.
yeah.
And it kind of worked out. All 3 of them. No, all 3 of them.
Oh,
was
that's funny.
We're kind of on a whim. The second one, I shouldn't have bought, but I'm still glad I did in retrospect. But so at the time, my partner took 6 months off, took a career break for a while to go back to school, and actually went to a coding boot camp. And so I was the only person who had a job at the time. And my partner had no job. We literally took like all of the cash that we had to put a small, like 5% down payment on the second place. And we were like scraping our pennies together just because it was a weird point in our lives. Like we went back to being a 2-income household within a month maybe of that time, but it wasn't guaranteed. And I didn't really know what was going to happen. And I remember going into my CFO's office and going, hey, can you just like, for sure, I'm probably not losing my job in the next couple of months because I'm about to go buy this house that maybe I shouldn't buy. But it worked out. It was fine. They're more likely to work out is what I'm saying. Like a mortgage is like, a lot of people didn't. A lot of people bought houses in the housing bubble and ended up underwater.
Yeah. That's actually an interesting approach to go ask your boss how they feel about you taking on, like to just sort of drop into like, oh, I'm about to do you like sort of even half jokingly, like, do you feel like that's a good time for me to be doing that?
Yeah.
Because you might, if you get a weird answer, you might be a sign.
You might pause. Yeah, I felt pretty
They should make
confident.
bosses co-sign on loans.
Yeah.
The employer should have to co-sign them. Not co-sign like they're responsible for it, but co-sign like.
Well, they kind of do, right? When you do a verification of employment, they ask your employer how likely it is that you're going to stay employed.
Actually, that's interesting.
It's one of the little boxes on the form.
Okay, so same thing with mortgages. There's good, there's bad. You want it to be thoughtful. And, all the stuff people always talk about of like, don't buy more house than you can afford, even if the bank feels like they're willing to loan you more money, which is still an issue. It's less of an issue than it used to be.
Well, you mentioned NerdWallet earlier, and the reason I thought maybe you were being sarcastic, I think NerdWallet, I think the nerdwallet.com is a pretty good place to get. Sorry, that was my George W. Bush impression, I guess. I just needed to say that so it didn't sound like I was indiscriminately making fun of people with Southern accents. But remember when he said the Google?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the Google. Anyways, I think the NerdWallet has some good information. And if you use if you use NerdWallet's how much house can I afford calculator, it is bananas. It is
like too much. Like it tells you
way too much because they have advertisements from mortgage lenders. So you go in and you say, here's how much house I can afford. And then they link you straight to mortgage lenders. And a lot of online calculators will tell you that you were approved for far, far, far more than maybe you can actually realistically afford.
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of things. Everybody out there that makes money off of debt is going to, like, they are financially encouraged to get you into debt. They are not worried about your mental health, your stress and anxiety. They're not worried about your future financial health. Like, it is a product. They make money off of it. And They want to give you as much as they can because they make more money if it's a bigger loan.
They're just like the social media companies. They're like,
Yeah.
we do not have your best interest at heart.
Yeah. I'm wondering now who does have my best interest at heart. I feel like you do.
I do, and you do.
Count the number of people on my hand. I don't even know if my kids have my best interest at heart, you know?
That's not true.
They're because their brains aren't fully developed, you know? I think they're like, you know, I think someday they might have my best
Like,
interest
push
at
came
heart.
to shove, they would have your best interest at heart,
Yeah.
but maybe not top of mind every day.
Yeah.
The same way that you feel that for them.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, but I think often I read this great book that I'm forgetting the name of now, but nope, I thought I might remember it, but I don't. Anyways, it was all about why none of us can focus on anything anymore.
Oh,
And
that's kind of funny that you can't remember the name. But
it is funny that I can't. What was it called? Shoot.
oh,
Something about focus.
focus,
No.
deep work.
No.
Oh,
Okay, let me just tell you what the guy said.
okay.
A lot of the way he framed it is that we think of our focus and our ability to get off of our phones and not fall down a rabbit hole scrolling as this level of personal responsibility that we all need to take. And if we can't, it's a moral failing of some kind. And what he proposes is there should actually be tons more government regulation around the way that social media targets us. Because what chance does my willpower have against billions of dollars and the smartest engineers in the world trying to design something that's going to suck me in? And it's the same way with debt. Like, there are these companies that make millions, billions, probably trillions in aggregate in terms of the industry of dollars based on you getting into more debt.
Yes.
And that's why there are, you know, when you want to take the metaphor further, there are legal protections far more in place when it comes to debt. Like, your credit card company now has to send you a little statement in the month that says, hey, if you only make the minimum payment, this is how much you're going to pay in interest. This is how long it's going to take. That's why they can't necessarily target people on college campuses as much anymore. That's why there's all that fine print and a bunch of disclosures you have to sign when you get a mortgage. Facebook, they're like, just download it and come on in. There's almost no rules.
Is the book Stolen Focus, by the way?
Yes.
It's a good book.
Thank you. I loved that book. I think I've actually read it twice. So
It's kind of funny. We'll put a link in the show notes.
I have read it twice, actually. Now I remember, because I read it once on vacation and then I read it again last year.
So yeah. Well, I think we can finish up this point of like, speaking of stolen focus, good and bad debt. You know, we're not going to talk about like, I guess you could argue the quote best type of debt. Also, if it's done thoughtfully, is like debt to start a business, buy a rental property. That's a much more complex topic. It's got to be strategic. It's got to be thoughtful. So it also, it's like all these things are on a spectrum, right? The idea of good and bad debt is how thoughtfully you've gone into it and where you've done a bit of, as best you can do, an ROI forecast and calculation, which again is return on investment. It's like, how much am I spending on this versus what am I going to get out of it? And in some cases, you know, what's it going to cost me in terms of, you know, what I can't have as a result of, you know, paying such a high car payment? Like what won't I have money to do anymore? Like save for the future, or save an emergency fund,
Or
etc.
how many more years am I going to have to work?
Yes. And so, you know, all these types of debt, there's the hidden cost of all of this debt is all the things that are like super obvious, but we'll state them very briefly, is, you know, debt creates a ton of stress and anxiety. There's a lot of like mental health burden that comes with these payments, especially when you get into situations where it's you can't quite make the payments or it's really stretching your budget. Gives you so much more limited choices, right? Having a lot of debt can like limit where you're able to live, what job you can take, you know, when you can retire. And like I said, you know, there's some opportunity costs in some of this stuff, right? So even though you might be able to afford, it might seem like you can afford some payment, a car payment, for example, there's the opportunity costs of you're not in a position to save as much for your future. You're not in a position to have an emergency fund, which then can cause, you know, a compound issue of you know, having to take on high interest debt to deal with an emergency. And you end up having to like put off different dreams you might have in life around owning a home, being able to travel, being able to start a business, being able to send your kids to college, whatever, you know, financial things you may want to be able to do in the future. And there are certainly ways that we can specifically start to denormalize, right? Is that a word? but
I think
denormalize.
so. That sounds right. I knew what you meant.
Yeah, like stop the trend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stop the trend of everyone normalizing debt and thinking it sounds normal. And I think we'll wrap up with talking about a few of those tactics that we think will help you to denormalize the idea that you need to take on debt and that it's a normal part of life.
Yeah. I know that you said earlier, and I think I agree, the formulas are hard, but a principle might just be I'm trying to minimize the amount of debt that I'm in.
Yeah.
And just if you approach every situation like that, right? Like I
It's my last resort.
exactly. And even when it comes to a house, right? I was kind of joking actually.
Actually, you're right. I like your, I want to minimize it better than it's my last resort. Because you're right. It's not about the debt. It's about the volume of it too.
Right,
So I
right.
like the, I want to minimize.
Even when you're choosing, you know, do I want a car that's $20,000 or $25,000? It's like, okay, well, I want to minimize the amount of debt I'm in. If that's one of your principles, like if it's right on the list, along with,
Yeah.
I want airbags, I want my car to be black, I want to have a CD player or whatever, a CD
Yeah.
player. I wish my car still did have a CD player. But if you're like, I want to minimize the amount of debt I have, and you put that on your list, and same with your house, right? Okay, I want 3 bathrooms, I want a fenced-in yard, and I want to minimize the amount of debt I'm in. Just like add that to your criteria. I think that could be really
Yeah.
helpful. Although I will say, I'm sorry, I'm just going to go down one more teeny tiny rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
The very first house that I bought cost $239,000. And it was a compromise. The one I really wanted, the one I was like in love with, was $249,000. And I wish I had just spent the extra $10,000.
And did you not have it at the time, or did you?
I just like mentally was doing the math on, maybe it was 260 actually, because I think my ceiling was 250. I think I said in my head, 250 is
yeah.
like what I want to do. But I remember there was a house that was $10,000 more, and I just, you know, would have added, I don't even know how much I'd have to do the math. Maybe I'd add $100 or something, or $200.
Did you even try to negotiate to like get it within your budget, or was it not that kind of market? Like to get that 260 house for 250?
I don't think we did. No, we didn't put an offer in on it. I don't know. It was my first time.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think my agent was like that spectacular. But anyways, when I look back, I wish that I had just bought the thing I wanted. But at the
Yeah.
time, that felt like so much money. But anyways.
Well, I think along with your like the
I'm not
mindset
helping.
piece. No, it's fine.
I'm not encouraging good behavior. I'm like, just buy the thing you want.
Just buy the bigger house. Along with like the mindset piece of trying to like minimize your debt as much as possible, I think it's also just you telling yourself, right, that debt is a tool. It's not a normal piece of my life. I will use that tool strategically, and really embracing the idea of delayed gratification, right? Like the joy of being able to save up for something and then buy it feels
So good.
really good.
It is so good.
And it's not always possible, but it is possible in many circumstances where people just don't want to wait.
Right. Or even with a house, right? Most of us can't afford to buy a house in cash, but you could say, I want to have minimum X down payment, X percentage or dollars that you're going to put down. And it made me think of, okay, wait, you're going to get this one. What's the name of the book that we both read and you didn't like the font on the cover? But
Oh, I critiqued what was it about? Can I get more of a clue? But
that doesn't.
I need more. But
I think
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think it was the 5 Kinds of Wealth or the 5 types
Oh
of wealth.
yeah,
or
5
the
Types of
5
Wealth
something
by
wealth.
Sahil Bloom. I'm a big fan of Sahil Bloom. It's just the design of the front of the book that
You just didn't like the font. It's fine. That's
not a big fan.
I get it.
Not just the font, the whole thing, but keep going. The font was just the beginning of the issues.
I liked, well, my opinion about that's a whole nother category. There were some parts of that book that I really, really liked. And one of them was he talks a lot about this identity mindset and framing it as I'm the kind of person who, whatever. And so with debt, like it wasn't always like this, but I would say at this point, I'm like, I am the kind of person who stays out of debt.
Yeah.
And that is, I would say, a pretty strong piece of my identity.
Yeah, I agree about you. I'm just kidding. I agree. I can relate personally of I am the kind of person that doesn't like debt and just wants debt to be my last resort.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so another thing you can do is, well, we talk about this all the time, so we're not going to belabor it, but like budget and track your expenses, right? Like know where your money is, know where every dollar is going. we're big fans of Monarch for tracking expenses, and we have whole episodes on it. We'll put in the show notes. But I will say, like, I've never used this app, but I know you have, Liz, the YNAB, which is YNAB.
You need a budget.
You need a budget, right? That's what that stands for. I used to think it was called the Wine app.
Wine app.
Which I never understood why people were using the Wine app to trap their money.
Because it's more fun than the sober app. Just kidding.
Its whole premise is like knowing exactly where every dollar is going.
Every
right?
dollar gets a job is the tagline.
And so that could be your like staying out of debt superpower, is knowing where all your money is and knowing what you have and what you don't have, and saying, look, I don't really have enough extra to go into debt and to save for the future and have an emergency fund. And that's really the next recommendation, is like, one of the best ways to stay out of debt is to build a robust emergency fund. And one of our more popular episodes, Liz, is you and I talking about emergency funds, and you give a fantastic formula in there where you like talk through specific factors, because it's hard to say. A lot of people are like, oh, you should have like 3 to 12 months or 6 to 12 months,
6 months, 12 months, 8 months,
2 years. But there's certain factors on, like, you know, whether it's a dual income household, just a bunch of different things. And you go through, I think, a really good formula. So if you want more guidance on an emergency fund, we have an episode on it. We'll put a link in the show notes. But the idea of having an emergency fund, that is like a crucial thing to break the cycle of debt. Because a lot of people who feel like they might have the mindset of never wanting to go into debt hit an emergency, don't have a great emergency fund, and that cycle starts, and it's really hard to dig yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Because of how big the interest is.
And it's so defeating, too,
Yeah.
to just feel like you can't climb out of the hole. It becomes, I think, a bit of a vicious cycle. But the next thing you can do to try to keep debt out of your life, to try to be a person who doesn't get into debt, is to prioritize debt payoff. And we are going to do future episodes on specific tactics around this.
Yeah.
Do you want to preview? You want to tease anything? Are you a snowball or an avalanche lady?
My only tease is, I think there are a lot of like creative ways to make paying off debt more fun. Like whether you're doing snowball, avalanche, refinancing, debt solutions, whatever, there's certain tactics like that. But then there's like ways to mindset shifts and ways to reframe it, and gamification and other things to make it suck less, because it can be a tough situation and a tough thing to get yourself out of.
Yeah.
And I do think there are specific, like in the spirit of, inside out money, I think there are like the actual tactics, but I think there's a lot of mindset things to make it more fun / suck less. And I think that's what we'll talk about in addition to some of the tactics also.
Yeah. Paying off debt, in all honesty, is like way more fun and satisfying than saving and investing, like for retirement.
Yeah. It feels good, right? To get out of it.
Yeah.
And when you get out of it, I'd argue there's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Of, you feel so good from that, you then can start to put your money into saving and other things.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really amazing feeling to do that. And one of the ways you can do that and like pay off more debt, is living below your means. That is like one of the ultimate denormalizing things you can do, is like, you just got to spend less than you earn.
Right. That's the ultimate hack.
Yeah. And I don't think it's, we've got whole episodes on this too. Like, it's not about deprivation. It's about being very intentional.
Yeah.
And we'll put some links in the show notes.
Just only buy the things you need. For example, Maggie doesn't need a lot of shirts because she shows up to record the podcast every week not wearing a shirt.
In a dirty sports bra. I'm thinking about taking a shower tonight, so.
Oh, that's exciting.
Big deal. Yeah. I actually took one last night, so.
Wow. I feel like in the summer it feels so nice to take a shower before you get in bed.
Yeah. Greg's better at that than I am.
Well, you're good at other things.
I know, I'm good at other things. Showering isn't one of them.
You're better at podcasting than Greg is.
Speaking of podcasting, the last thing we'll say is just continuing your financial education and like having a voice like ours, and if you don't like our voice, if you don't want to hear me rap Salt and Pepper anymore, there's other voices you can listen to.
There are 17 million other voices you can listen. There are so many personal finance podcasts. There are
so many personal finance.
I can't believe you found us in the haystack, honestly.
Really, yeah.
I can't believe. I mean, think about what an amazing coincidence it is that in the universe and in all of time and all the humans that have ever existed, we found each other.
Yeah. You found us, and then you stuck around after hearing, like, let's talk about debt, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the podcasts that exist.
Yes, because, okay, here's my latest thing that I cannot stop talking about. It is called the insight action gap, and it's just the name for when you know that you should do something. That doesn't mean that you're going to do it. All of us, you, me, you listening, you can probably think of like 5 things that you know if you did it, your life would be better off. Maybe you need to roll over that old 401k. Maybe you should drink more water. Maybe you should put your phone down before you go to bed. Maybe you should be flossing your teeth more. Like whatever it is, you can think of things. You're not doing those things. I'm not doing those things. Maggie, you're not doing those things. We all have a list of things that we know our life would go better. We would be happier. We would be healthier, but we don't do it. And so one of the ways to get around that insight action gap is to just continually feed it to yourself. Like maybe you listen to this whole episode, it's very possible you did not actually like learn one thing. It's very possible that you were sitting here nodding along going like, oh yeah, okay, I know. Yep, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But spending time with it and marinating in it helps you close that inside action gap.
I agree. Yeah, there's just so many things out there that can be those voices in your ear that like keep this stuff top of mind. And like 99% of them are free, right? You can get these books from the library for free. These podcasts are free. And I just think like,
I can't believe this podcast is free.
It
Can
is.
you
And we don't even have ads, you know?
I know. I can't believe this golden content is just available for anybody to listen to at any time. What a time to be alive.
And there's like music in it. It's a full multimedia experience, you know?
It's a full multimedia.
There's no video, but you know.
Yeah, that's because Maggie doesn't wear a shirt. We would get
I
it.
know, right? I'd have to get dressed for us to. Just to be clear, I do have on a sports bra. I just don't have a shirt on. Also, I would like to tell you, we didn't even really get to cover this in the expense review episode, but I would like to tell you it is currently 78 degrees in my house.
I believe you.
Is that hot? It's hot. It's a little warm.
It's really hard to compare thermostats because of the way houses work and the way thermostats work. But yeah, 78 is pretty darn warm.
Yeah.
I think it's 72 in my. It might be set to 74.
It would be so cold. I would have to put on a shirt and a jacket.
But also, this where we are is like very well insulated. So I think it's just like different. I don't know. Our big old drafty house. I mean, it was bananas. It was a different temperature in every single room, and the windows were honestly more like suggestions. they were like curtains. You could feel the hot air and the cold air coming in. Anyways, I appreciate your frugality.
Frugalistness?
Frugalicious.
My goodest frugality?
She's frugalicious.
Yeah.
That's the next song.
Okay. I don't know the words to that one as well.
Isn't Fergalicious is the song, right?
Yeah. I'm not as familiar with that. I mean, I know of that song, but I couldn't like freestyle
just bust it out.
Yeah. Cuff. I would need to go, like pull it up on,
Probably.
Like, give me a minute. I could do it. Okay. I think on that note, we should like wrap this up.
I think we did it.
I think we've done it. And as usual, we've done it and beyond. And we promise to actually help you get out of debt in future episodes. Since all we did
was just a lot of finger wagging.
Was talk about how bad debt is. And so for everyone who's like in debt, you're like, yeah, thanks. I know it. It doesn't feel great. Let's get out of it.
Yeah, we'll do it together.
But yeah, part of stopping the cycle is like agreeing that we're going to stop the bleeding. And, how we think about debt, I think is the first step. The next step is let's get out of debt. Let's get out of debt, baby. And then let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the listeners, leaving reviews, share it with a friend.
Why don't we come up with some sort of like a rap for the closing,
Maybe just a song. I'm more comfortable singing, I think. I think you're more
I'm
comfortable.
more comfortable rapping. Thank you for listening. Please
Yeah.
leave us a review.
Dun,
We
dun.
really...
We want to hear all your opinions about the podcast.
Mhm.
Dun, 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 dun.
5 stars. Yeah.
4 would be fine, but we would
No,
prefer 5.
5 stars. 5 stars.
I'm just saying.
Only 5.
You know what? I do
Less than
sometimes.
5. Just keep it to yourself.
Sometimes I think the 1-star reviews actually drive more engagement. You're like, oh, this show's a
Funny.
train wreck. I want to go listen.
Yeah. Or I like to post the 1-star reviews, and then we get a lot of like sympathy 5-star reviews. you know?
Yeah. People are so mean to us. Leave us nice reviews.
know.
No, they're not
People-
really mean to us. People are really nice to us, actually.
They are, yeah. I'm 99% kindness out there.
99.9%.
But yes, we will, speaking of kindness, we'll wrap this up for
Yeah.
your sake.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. You should like share this podcast with somebody.
You should. You should send it to someone else. That's actually like, if you think that this is a good podcast and you would like us to keep doing it, the best way to do that is to share it with someone else. Because when we see it's growing, then we feel extra motivated to keep doing it.
Text it to your friend and be like, let's talk about debt, baby.
Baby.
But listen to this podcast, maybe.
Yeah. And then they'll share it with a friend, and then they'll share it with a friend. It's like a pyramid scheme, but for podcasts.
Yeah. And a free
Yeah.
one. that doesn't-
The good kind.
yeah,
The
you
good
don't
kind.
have to get in debt. It's like the good kind of cult, you know?
Yeah.
It's a healthy
We-
cult.
It probably doesn't seem like it, but we do know that time is limited and valuable, and we do appreciate you spending some of yours with us. If you're not sure what to write in a review, if you want to leave us a review, I love knowing what people are doing while they listen.
Someone left one of those recently, you know?
Someone just told me IRL to my face, like, hey, I know that you like to know what people do. I was washing baby bottles, and I said,
Oh.
thank you for telling me that.
That's
That's
nice.
amazing. I love that. I just feel like I was standing right next to you at the sink.
Yeah. I like it.
Anyways, that's all we got. Oh, if you have questions or you want to leave us a voice message, does anybody ever actually leave a voice message?
Yeah. Or they text us. You can text that number too.
We can't play it. It's like, I don't know. A voice
I
message would
mean-
be fun. We could like play it on the show.
Someone texted me the other day to tell me there was an issue with the audio, which was
That was
a
nice of them.
button I accidentally hit. and
I
got-
listened to it and I heard the issue with the audio and I did not tell you. I thought you did it on purpose. I was like, oh,
No.
that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it was. They were like, Liz is in both ears. You're only in my right ear. And I was like, okay, that's
I
not-
thought I was in left and you were in right. And I was like, oh, that's so cool that you did that in stereo. That's kind of neat. Or I thought it was my new AirPods because they kind of have this thing where, like, depending on where your phone is, it changes the way.
I like that you embraced it. You know, he was like, I can't listen to this. It's
I
like real
can't.
messed up. Like, she's loud. You're too quiet. You're only one ear. It's like hard to listen. He was very nice though. He was like,
Yeah.
and he was like offering to help me fix it and telling me how to fix it too. And I was like, first he was like, I'm a longtime listener, love the show, and then like was very nice. Anyway, someone did leave a review recently, and they
Ooh,
said
what
they
did it
like
say?
listening. They like listening while they're taking their dogs for a walk.
That's the best. That's the best. I love it too. Well, you can text us. I don't think we said the number yet, but it's 404-981-3370. Or you can find us on Instagram. You can find me at Liz Gets Loaded. You can find Maggie at Inside Out Money.
Yeah.
And
We did it.
come
Good
hang out with
job.
us. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, Liz.
Technically under 90 minutes.
That's good for us.
That's
Right?
pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay.
Okay. Bye, Liz.
Bye, Maggie.